Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of my Italy travel diaries. Decided to skip the intro this time and just go straight into the video. So we start off still in Rome and visiting the Borghese Gallery just outside of the city. This property was absolutely incredible. The artwork in here was amazing, and actually one of my favorite pieces of all time, which we'll be seeing momentarily in a clip, was actually in this gallery, and it was just breathtaking. I think that this was probably my favorite gallery that we ended up going to. I don't know. There's some in Florence that definitely are also really impactful to me, but this right here is my favorite piece. It's called The Abduction of Persephone. It is beautiful. As I've kind of mentioned, I love ancient Roman culture and like Greek gods and goddesses, and this is just so cool, and I love to see it in works of art. Again, just more beautiful pieces. I'm really big into the marble sculptures, as you can see, and this is another beautiful one of Aeneas carrying his father out of Troy. And then we were on the road to our next destination, our first travel day, and we went to Orvieto. So Orvieto is a small little Italian countryside town. It's absolutely beautiful. Ended up being one of my favorite places we visited. This is the Duomo of Orvieto, which is just stunning. We got to go in the inside, and it had just the most beautiful interior. Orvieto is the most charming little town ever, and while Rome is literally amazing and you see so much while you're there, it's also cool, and I highly recommend if you go to Italy to experience some of these Italian countryside towns because the culture is just so rich. It's not as touristy. It really does feel like this is what life would be like if you lived in Italy in a lot of ways. We also climbed 175 feet down a well in Orvieto. This is the Pozzo di San Patrizio, which is St. Patrick's Well, and it was literally the most creepy but cool thing ever. Again, guys, the views from the Italian countryside are just stunning. And this was definitely the most like peaceful part of the trip for me. So many amazing memories were made here. We were only here for 2 days, like half a day, and then we left the next day, about halfway through the day. And again, I just could not get enough of Orvieto. I was not ready to leave by the time we were leaving. It was just so good. And here's us watching the sunset in Orvieto on our first night. Then we woke up and we did our walking tour of Orvieto with our tour guide. Again, I love the Italian countryside. I think I am obsessed. We went and toured the Duomo and a lot of the views that we actually saw the day before, but we just actually got more history behind them, which is just so fun and interesting. And then we had another travel day and ended up in Assisi. So Assisi is another just absolutely stunning hill town in Italy. And Assisi is actually famous for its Catholic origins. This is the city that houses St. Francis's Basilica, so this is a really big Catholic pilgrimage town. This town is very busy during the day, but honestly, past like 5 p.m., it pretty much clears out, so it also is just such a peaceful experience to actually stay there. The views here might have been my favorite views of all time, and the first night we were there, we actually climbed up to this castle, me and Drew did, to watch the sunset. It was pretty cloudy, so we couldn't see it too well, but it was still absolutely beautiful. And this was actually from the top of the castle where we could zoom in, and that is the Basilica of St. Francis. And then we had our walking tour day, and the first thing we toured was St. Francis's Basilica. St. Francis was so interesting to learn about for me. I am not Catholic, so I didn't know a ton about saints and everything like that, but learning his story was so interesting. And for free time this day, a group of us actually decided to go on this really big hike, and man, it was strenuous. It was straight uphill, but the views at the top are unlike anything you've ever seen in your life. Like, this is truly one of those memories from the trip that feels once in a lifetime for me, and I don't know if I will ever see something as beautiful as the view from the top of this hike. Videos don't do it justice. I can't describe it enough. I am just in awe. There's these rolling hills on the top. The wind is whipping like 30 miles an hour. It's like cold up there, and you can just see for miles. It's absolutely breathtaking. It was worth every step to get up this mountain, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Then we actually decided to walk the rest of the Way of St. Francis. This is a Catholic pilgrimage route that leads to this cross on top of the mountain, and the story is you're supposed to carry a stone from the valley and lay it at the foot of the cross to symbolize laying your burdens down at the foot of the cross. This was such a beautiful experience for me. There was a little book in the tin that we could sign that was filled with entries from people in all different sorts of languages, from Italian, obviously, to German, to Russian, to all these different things, and it was just so surreal for me to be in a place that so many people have come to experience this like spiritual renewal and lay these burdens down. And this was probably my favorite part of the entire trip, and I look back on these memories so fondly. So the next day we got up and we traveled to Siena. So Siena is another beautiful town, very similar in size to Florence, which is one of the cities that we visit next. And we started off when we got there with our walking tour. I loved Siena. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I actually ended up getting kind of sick while we were in Siena, so I don't have the most positive experience, but I did really enjoy it. We got to see St. Catherine's Head, so that was pretty cool, in one of their Catholic churches there. We also got to see these really cool little like Roman baths that were filled with fish now that I thought was really pretty. And again, we saw another Duomo. This Duomo was very similar to the Duomo of Orvieto. As you guys saw in the beginning of this video, the facade is very similar, but again, so beautiful. I have so many clips from the inside because this style of Gothic architecture was just so cool to me. And unlike really anything I saw in Rome didn't have a lot of Gothic style churches, but Orvieto and Siena, and not really Assisi, mainly just these two, had very Gothic style churches. The churches are something that if you travel to Italy, please go inside the churches. They're easy to overlook, but they're free to get into most of the time, and you will see just breathtaking pieces of history. These are actually some books of one of the early popes that was donated to this church. And this is the main piazza in Siena. This was probably the best part about Siena. The piazza here was amazing. You could just sit there and people watch all day long, and that is actually where they hold the Polio Festival, the horse races that are very violent. If you want to learn more about those, I would definitely tell you to look it up. And what you're seeing right now is actually clips of the stationery section, of course, of Flying Tiger, which is a really cool Italian little like Five Below type store. Very interesting. It's something that we did in our free time today. And then we went to the grocery store, and this was just a look inside. And like I said, the rest of the day I was sick, so I didn't do much. Then the next day we got up and it went to 2 different cities to tour small towns. This is Monteriggioni. It is a very tiny medieval town. This was actually like a fortress for Siena to be able to spy on Florence and make sure that they weren't invading. This was super tiny. I mean, you could walk around the whole thing in 10 minutes, but it was absolutely beautiful. Then we went to San Gimignano, which I also really love San Gimignano. San Gimignano is famous for its large towers. There used to be all of these different political factions, and each family would build a tower trying to be taller than the other families or the other political factions as a sign of power. You can kind of see them in the background there. Again, San Gimignano had incredible culture. They also had one of the most famous gelato places, which I know I talked about gelato, of course, in the last part, but it is so amazing and highly recommend. And this is a video, I'll stop talking so you can listen, of a guy playing wine glasses with water. It was so beautiful. Literally can't get enough. We toured a few more churches in San Gimignano as well. These ones were very much more simplistic compared to the other ones, but still had some really beautiful things. Then we got on the bus, I took a nap, we traveled to Florence, and it was laundry day. So most of Florence will be covered in the next part of this video, part 3, the final part of the Orvieto travel diaries. But the first night we just went on a walk, we got some Italian McDonald's, we went to the Duomo in Florence, which is just stunning. And this is honestly one of my favorite memories of the trip, was just this little simple evening walk. Can't get enough. Love these travel diaries. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is
Missing someone